Hey Armoured Skeptic, wake up.
What?
I want to make a video about why you are so awesome. Interested?
Alright, I'll nibble. What do you have for me?
I think you are a creative addition to the YouTube atheist community for several reasons. For starters, let's look at your content. Although much of what you present is not inherently brand new, I do think that the way you present your content and especially the reasons that you give to justify what you're saying are novel, at least to me. For example, the best one I can think of is your take on morality, which, again, is not inherently new, but I really do enjoy the way that you show it and present it, as well as how you justify it. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the Armoured Skeptic, here is a short rundown of his take on morality.
I don't base my morality on anything objective. If anything, everything I do, whether I think is right or wrong, is entirely based on how I feel about it. So as far as I'm concerned, the only morality in this world is mine. Anything that does not conform to my idea of morality, I consider immoral. And the fact that so many people from around the world seem to disagree with me only confirms the fact that there is no objective morality. If there was an objective morality, we wouldn't be arguing over whether or not it was okay to stone someone to death, to own slaves. We would all just know that it was wrong and we wouldn't do it. Now, there is a form of morality that rests outside of me, and that is societal morality. But even then, from society to society, we all believe something different. If there was objective morality, we would all think the same thing.
Now, personally, I don't completely agree with his stance, at least not from what I've just shown.
What? Does it upset you too much?
Oh no, not at all.
Are you going to explain to us why that's a bad argument?
I shall address that in a later video.
That's not an argument.
I know it's not, and when I talk about my views on morality, you can watch them and critique them, okay?
Alright, no promises.
Another thing that I like about the Armoured Skeptic is that he doesn't really get into things he doesn't know much about. And when he does, he will flat out state in his videos that he's not talking as an expert. And he also gives some neutral advice and just neutral statements, which I think can be applied to almost anybody and can be found to be useful for most people, if not everybody. For example, he has stated that there's no problem in not believing scientific claims that one doesn't comprehend, and I think that's great. Even though, yes, it is okay to take the words of experts in science because of how science works, and because of the fact that the entire system is a very reliable system in and of itself, I would agree with him, it's not a problem if you decide, well, I don't really understand how this theory works, or I don't really understand why science says this, and so I'm not going to adopt that belief. It would be silly to deny it, and it would be irrational to accept something else without just as good, if not better, evidence. But yeah, I don't see any problem with not fully accepting a claim that one doesn't comprehend, even if it comes from the scientific community. So, besides content, what else makes the Armoured Skeptic so great? Well, I personally love his delivery. I enjoy watching his videos because he has a very, very interesting comedic style, and I personally love it. He will use foreshadowing in order to make jokes, and I don't think I've ever seen that in a YouTube video before. I love it. Here, just watch.
By the way, where did God come from?
By the way, don't bother with the where did God come from argument.
Oh, clever.
And let's not forget the irony police.
They can be asses because they know they're right.
And of course, he calls people out in the best of ways.
The atheists choose to be homosexuals, but I just think atheism's pretty gay. It's pretty gay.
What was that you were saying about being a bigot?
And let's not forget this little nugget.
See, science can't tell you why you think you're a person. Do you believe you're a person, or do you believe you're just millions of single-celled organisms working together in a body?
Say what now? Did you fail biology? We're not millions of individual single cells, we're a multicellular organism. That is not the same thing as a big blob of individual cells. It almost sounds like you're denying that you're made up of billions of cells.
Okay, just one more.
Talk about a loaded question. First of all, that question is not even worded properly. Asking a question like this is so intellectually dishonest. It almost hurts my feelings that you ask honest people like me questions that are this loaded. If I were to answer your question the way you gave it, I'm going to come across sounding as a dick. And I know that that's your intention, but it's not fair, is it? And you knew that when you asked the question, that it's not a fair question.
And he's not above poking fun at people for comedic value.
Are you sure?
Sure, here are a couple examples.
You're a Shock of God fan? I thought you were smarter than that. You bring up a good point here. If God is as omnipotent as you say he is, then he really goes out of his way to make sure we don't know that he exists.
The last thing I would like to talk about here is the Armored Skeptic's character. Yes, he has a helmet on, but that doesn't stop us from seeing facial expressions, which is pretty cool. And honestly, besides hiding what his actual face looks like, it really doesn't take away from us knowing what kind of a person he is. In fact, he has a video explaining how he got to where he is now. And yeah, I can relate to him about just as much as I can with most people. We have, from what I've seen, we have many things in common and many things that we don't have in common, which is pretty cool that I get to see how much just from a few videos that he has. And one thing that is different though is that he does show a lot of character, and even though he may not be completely relatable for me, I understand the kind of character he is a lot better than I would from most people from watching a handful of their videos. So that is something that the Armored Skeptic does very well, and I really like how in the video he explains the backstory to why he is in a suit of armor. Oh wait, suit and armor.
Oh, I see what you did there. No, you're not that clever. It's the exact same thing.
Well, as you can see, the Armored Skeptic is a really good YouTuber.
Oh sure, let's just end this video on another assertion. Why the fuck not? You made so many already.
Well, what can I say? If you're looking for another YouTube atheist, but one that is creative, unique, and has really funny delivery, look no further than the Armored Skeptic.
I suggest you check it out.
Me too.
Well, my work here is done.